So our topic is next-gen XR in the Metaverse, bridging the gap from Web 2 to Web 3. Let's see what that's all about. There's a lot of funny expressions in the Web 3 world, and we'll dive into that, what that all means. But let's go for a short introduction. One guy we already know, but please let's start from Wolfgang's side and then continue.
Okay. Hello, everyone. Pleasure to be here. I guess I could consider myself as an artist from the early ages, starting as a kid, drawing, painting, usually on paper, early adopted to digital arts on the slowest hardware, tiniest screen, and this was always a hobby, made a living out of that hobby, so I'm in a lucky situation to getting paid for what I love to do. And now I'm building the Metaverse, at least I try to.
Good start. Pellumb, please.
Oh, they know me. Pellumb Gurra.
Second time, of course. It's always good with PR, right?
Sure, no problem. Yeah, luxury automotive and product designer. I'm here representing myself today. I do have to do that disclaimer, like Farok does in his spaces, in case of an investigation. Yeah, that's me, Marieke.
Nice to meet you. Yeah, I'm Marieke Feenstra. I'm also actually coming from luxury goods in the fashion industry. Worked for Seven for All Mankind, did the whole European startup and Levi's, the high-end part of Levi's, and then became a photographer. So during COVID, I was a photographer, and I found blockchain, crypto, and I was totally intrigued with my past of doing startups and then having the photography, and I really thought this is something amazing, this whole blockchain technology. So I started in the space in March of 2021, and everyone was talking about let's fucking go to the moon. And then 6 months into the space, you know, the chief scientist of the European Space Agency called me, and he said, "Hey, I want to bring art to the moon." And so I thought, well, everyone's talking about it, let's just do it. And actually, my co-founder is somewhere in the audience. They're waving over there for the MoonMars Museum. So that's what I'm doing. And I'm also the founder of the Paladin Punks, which is a female punk project. So if you're a female, make sure to check out the Paladin Punks. That's me.
Yeah, please go find them here. Very good. As you can see, there's another smiling guy there, but that's not me. So I'm actually Kuisma. I'm a tech advisor and a crypto manager as well for a fund. So a small miss there. But that's fine. But let's begin with the panel. My favorite quote of Socrates is, "The beginning of wisdom is the definition of terms." So when it comes to Metaverse, there's a lot of talk about what it actually is, because maybe people don't even have been to... How many have been to the Metaverse, by the way? Show of hands. It's roughly...
Very few.
Few, 3-4%. Good. So we have actually a video prepared just for you to see what Metaverse is all about, and then we'll go to the terms and what we can do to make it go mainstream from Web 2 to Web 3. We'll step aside so you can see. There we go. So now you might ask, what was that? And let's find out. Let's start with the definition of metaverse, maybe. And our dear lady here wants to go first, because this
Sure.
is something that needs to be explained.
Yeah, so I saw there's only a few people who have actually been in the metaverse. The topic of today uses the letters XR, which really means AR, VR, metaverse, mixed media. So everything to do with technology that sort of enhances the in real life experience. And of course, in the metaverse, what we do is we create an entire new world. But the umbrella term for anything that we are trying to build in the metaverse or with the VR glasses or with AR is XR.
Very good.
Yeah?
Wolfgang, do you want to fill in what all of those terms mean? Because we hear XR, VR, AR.
Okay.
What is that?
Yeah, so VR is pretty much you have a hardware on your face, and you are not seeing what's around you. You're pretty much blending out the reality, and you're in the virtual reality. Augmented reality would be, you can see it as an overlay over the actual world, like everything that is like, let's say, Google Glasses, where you see with your eyes the actual world, and it overlays, let's say, information or
Yeah.
any content. And mixed reality is, like it says in the name, a mixture. You would interact with physical objects in the world, but you would still get that VR aspect. But it's you will not be cut off the real world like in VR.
Yeah.
What
That is
does
pretty
this
much.
do to your brain?
You need to get used to it.
Exactly. It's true. Have you any experience you want to share about metaverse that combines with your use case of your designing career?
I mean, one rather obvious opportunity for, let's say, the automotive world, but even other large products like yachts, for example, is to give the customers the opportunity to experience their product in advance of course, taking delivery of it, or even during the early, let's say, configuration phases in a much more immersive environment, right? Because at the moment, let's say if you are buying a car, you get to configure it on the website usually, or you go to a dealership. But that technology is relatively rudimentary. With what we've got today, it works okay, but it's relatively rudimentary. But given that these types of purchases are so sort of financially and emotionally investing, of course, it would make a lot more sense to give the customer the opportunity to see that product in advance in a much more immersive environment, in different environments, different settings. So that would be kind of the rough, let's say, opportunity.
Sure.
Within
Good use case. Yeah. Do you have anything to add?
No, not yet. We're using it a lot, and I'll talk about it later. But
Yeah, sure. So basically, we're talking about a digital universe which doesn't exist in the real world. And the tools we're just talking about, it's a way to access that universe, because obviously you can't just step in a computer in that sense. So this is something that's been going on for actually 20 years. We just discussed this before. The metaverse has been existing for 20 years. But how long do you think we have come now, if you're thinking of the use cases and the everyday? Because you work with the metaverse every day, as do all of you.
I would say we're slowly getting there. Very optimistic. We work on it on a daily basis and try to create something that is appealing or interesting. We want the customers or the people who step into the metaverse, we want them to come back. We want them to spend time, but really we want them to come back. And it's actually a learning process, what we are doing, what everyone is doing.
Sure, like everything in Web3.
Yeah,
we're all learning.
We're learning by doing.
Every day.
Every day.
Do you have any ideas, Pellumb, what
So
we just discussed about?
the thing with automotive is that it's the automotive product development process, let's say. Of course, cars take a very long time to develop. So in terms of mass adoption and bringing this technology to the masses, I don't believe the automotive sort of sector will contribute that much to mass adoption. But ultimately, I believe once, let's say, we achieve this types of level 5 autonomous type of driving, where you'll be able to sit in a car and kind of hands-free sit there for the whole journey, I guess that's where the use case of the utilization of this technology will come in handy where your journey is essentially going to be a little bit more fun, I suppose, because you know driving.
Sure.
But yeah, in terms of mass adoption, in automotive, we are almost a step behind the rest of the technology, usually because cars take so long to develop, 4 to 5 years even. So
It's hard to predict 4 to 5 years in this space.
what's going to happen. And technology changes so much in 4 to 5 years,
Yes.
right? So yeah, at the moment, for example, one thing that we're always catching up with in the automotive world is screen technology. But if we all are wearing these perfected AR, VR headsets, which will be as easy as wearing glasses or even contact lenses eventually, then maybe we don't need screens. So maybe we'll finally catch up with technology.
That's interesting. Do you find it helpful if I know you're more into the design, but if we're talking about the production line, of course, do they use VR as well or Metaverse?
Yeah, we do actually throughout the whole process. So in terms of applying technology, adopting technology, as an industry, actually, we do adopt it really early within the development process. Not necessarily in the final product, because the final product, again, the homologations, the rules and regulations are very, very strict with it. But in terms of the early design phases, let's say we do actually, and we've been using it since the late 90s even. So while we are designing a car, we go through many variants, types of surfaces, types of proportions. So instead of actually making full-scale models, which are very expensive, at least in the early phases, we go in this VR, almost metaverse-like settings, so we can at least get a sense of which direction is the right one before we start to make expensive models, because finding out mistakes after you've pressed metal is very expensive. Yeah.
Recalls are not fun in the car industry, no. Yeah. True. There's actually a lot of use cases we don't even think about. In the construction industry, for example, people actually draw big skyscrapers in VR and Metaverse, and then they're actually going through all the building to see what kind of flaws happen. So there's a lot of use cases in fashion as well, or design. So it's up to us actually to find the ways to use the technologies here. Yeah. Very good. Anything more?
Yeah, I think the use case for me was trying to explain to people what is Web3. Like we all know, whoever's in the audience that has like tried to make a wallet or tried to like buy crypto for the first time, or explain to their families, you know, what they're doing. It's like, oh my God, you know, you're just spending time on your computer. What the heck are you doing? So for me, it was really when I started the Paladin Punks, modeled after real women in Web3, I said, okay, we need to find a place where we can meet each other. And because that's the most important for me anyway. Web3 is making these connections, and of course a lot of us were there in the bull market, and then the bear market came, and I saw all these people that were still showing up, even though it was a bear market. And I said, okay, I want to meet these people, but not on Twitter. I'm not so big on Twitter. I don't like Discord that much. So I said, okay, let's do this in the metaverse. So then I contacted Wolfgang to make the Paladin Punk Museum, and it was really a nice place to meet each other and to talk to each other instead of being like on a Zoom call, like looking at each other from 30 centimeters. We were able to jump around and like show our screen in the metaverse, and so we really created a lot of connections. And now going to the NFT conferences, I'm actually meeting the people that I've met in the metaverse for the first time. A lot of
avatars, yeah.
Yeah, yes, I mean, the avatars, but it's talking avatars. People underestimate the value. Like people can see a metaverse filled with avatars and they think, oh, it's avatars. But it's people. There's people behind every avatar. And that is really the power that I see, but we're just very early. That's, you know, we're early for the technology. Sure. Not everyone has a good computer. Not everyone has a good phone. So in terms of mass adoption, we have a very, very long way to go.
Sure.
But we're in the bear and we've been building, and we are ready for when new people come in to show them in 5 minutes what it is to be in Web3. You can explain, like, look, there's a picture on the wall. If you click it, it can be yours. So it's a little bit like a website, but then you actually step into
the new dimensions, for sure. Can you expand a little bit on that you have meetings in the metaverse? Because people are used to the Zoom calls now after COVID and everything.
Yes.
But so you're actually saying it's possible to have normal meetups?
Yeah, I'm only spending my time in the metaverse. I do all my meetings there.
Are you a nerd?
Am I a nerd? I guess I am, definitely.
No, but honestly,
Yeah.
You can actually have your everyday meetings in the metaverse.
Yes, you can have your meetings, and sharing screen is really easy. You can project someone in there.
Exactly. And you can actually build your own kind of universe where you have your meetings as well.
Yeah,
Like a cool office, right?
Yeah, a very cool office, and whatever brand you have. So this is good for you too. You can really show the customer your brand. Like if you're building a brand, you can really, from the avatars to whatever's on the wall to how the structure looks, how you can make towns, you can make cities. So you can really show your identity in a very good way. Like I come from Levi's, like where we are talking about what does Levi's have to offer, and yeah, for me this is the future. But we're just very early. I'm going to keep saying that because you saw there was like maybe 10 people, 5 people, 10 people raising their hands.
Sure, and this is the Web3 conference. So.
Well, then everybody should be raising their hands on the Web3 conference. But I dare everyone to come and visit, click that link. It takes a little bit more than 3 seconds, which is like what we talked about earlier. You need to like log in and get your computer up and running. But once you're in, and I have your ear anyway, then I will tell you all about the metaverse and blockchain and what we're all doing here. Yeah.
Sure. Yes, and remember, this is a new technology, like the Web3 spaces. Everything is taking its time, but you're the first ones to be there. So this is actually an opportunity. Even business-wise, you can do everything there. So it's good to learn this. And here we have some really valuable information from people who actually work and build stuff in the metaverse every day. This is nice.
Yep.
So that's all the positive ones. What can we do to make this section of the metaverse actually grow when it comes to use cases and also UX and UI? Because that's actually the biggest hurdle, basically, in the crypto and Web3 space too. If you can, I mean, not to talk bad about Discord, but if you use Discord, you basically need to be a dev or a programmer. It's that hard. So how do we make the metaverse more accessible for people?
The way we do it, I can talk about the way we do it, is basically creating an experience. Because you can make a nice building, but if it's just a building, then you're in there and nothing happens, or there's art on the wall. Okay, you can look at it, but after 5 minutes, you've looked at it. So what we really do together with Vavortex is an AI art community. They show a lot of art. And with the MoonMars Museum. So we are actually bringing art to the surface of the moon, which is nice if we can all go there and take a look at it. So the astronauts will be the first ones to see it. But we've actually created this MoonMars Museum in the metaverse. So we have the artworks that are going to the moon are showcased in the museum. So we are starting bringing a little bit extra to what's happening in real life, because more people are trying to get art to the moon. But we said, okay, we're going to build a museum and we're going to show you what it looks like, and then there's going to be opportunities for people to go. Another thing we do is the super community. It's 18 artist communities in Web3. And we come together and we showcase one artist and really go in depth about their artwork. So we do a tour, we talk about it, and we connect. It's always about connecting people.
Sure.
Yeah.
Very good. So we understand that we need to use the metaverse and just invite people in. That's how we
and really offer an experience. So our events, we really moderate them. So people come in and we take them by the hand, we show them art, we give them some music, we give them an experience, we do a little fun game.
Makes the entry nice and easy for them.
Yeah, and you take them by the hand, like you give them a real tour in a real museum.
Sure. Very good. Pellumb, how do you feel about the metaverse? Is this something that you can still use more and more in your industry or even on a personal level?
Well, so in the industry, yes, of course. With time, as technology evolves and kind of the use case becomes more mainstream. But on a personal level, sort of we kind of tend to separate, or let's say distance, the Web2 and the Web3 worlds. Kind of we don't like the Web2 world in a sense, right? But I think in terms of achieving mass adoption, we probably do need to find this middle ground, right? Because let's say if we're talking about Roblox and all the huge games that exist out there, they've got so much distribution, so many people using it. And you can't force that type of use case, right? Those types of numbers. So I think we have to kind of find the middle ground and create this maybe Web 2.5 where the mass adoption starts to happen and the technologies meet in the middle. But also I think part of the mainstream adoption is probably going to also be generational, and we talked about this a little bit yesterday. So there are some things that you almost can't force, right? The future generations that I mentioned a little bit earlier, especially Gen Alphas, this type of technology will be completely natural to them. So a little bit of it will actually be generational rather than, of course, the improvement of the technology, the use case, the usability of it plays an important role, but some of it will be generational, and we just have to kind of see it through.
Sure. And I mean, technology, they always exist parallel to each other. I mean, DVDs was one thing, then we had something else. But they still work together for 10, 20 years.
Yeah.
And now we have Netflix, but the TVs are still working. It's not that we're looking at Netflix in the headsets yet. So it's emerging technology, which takes time to apply into everybody's lives.
We have a good example. We had a school class of 12-year-olds in the Metaverse, and right away they just walked off. They know which buttons to press.
Yeah, exactly. Because
So-
they already grew up with it.
Yeah, they know how to like walk, and I think it's important to inspire. Like these kids were so inspired. They made art. So we asked them, okay, make a punk of yourself. And then the week later they came back and the punks were on the wall, and they were like, oh my gosh, my art is on the wall. So it's about inspiring people to also use it, I think.
True.
Yeah.
There's a learning curve, but it's very exciting.
Yeah.
Very good. So the last question, to predict the future, it's always not so easy, of course. But what do you think, where are we heading with the Metaverse as an industry of a whole? Because we've seen this development for 20 years now. What do you think will happen within the next 5 or 10 years? Wolfgang?
The Metaverse will definitely happen. It's happening right now. And we can see it with development of technology. It goes so fast. Like you said, CDs, DVDs, everyone had them. Now no one
Even
has them.
cassette tapes before that.
Yeah.
We're that old, right?
They are. Yeah, if I talk to my nieces, they have no idea what CDs are.
VHS, what?
Yeah, that's how fast it goes. Like everyone has a supercomputer in his hands, and well, I guess smartphones will still be there for a while, but we don't know what's around the corner. Like you said with displays, are displays relevant in 10 years? Is there something else? That is, we use the current technology that we have at our hands, and we try to adopt if something new emerges, and that's the way to go. Always have the finger on the pulse and try to use the latest tech.
And just think of new ways to imply, because there's a lot of applications actually for the business-minded people as well. Right now, as we speak, there are companies that are actually providing services as this conference, but virtually in the Metaverse, streaming live from the actual event. So, I mean, there's no boundaries actually. Yeah. What do you think, Pellumb? Where are we going?
I mean, it's hard to predict, but
of course,
what we do know is that it absolutely is inevitable, right? So that we know for sure. Where it goes, we'll kind of enjoy the ride and see where it goes. But yeah, I mean, it's
full of goggles, people connected.
Let's hope a street full of glasses and not these chunky goggles that we have right now. But of course, it's going to get there. It's just a matter of time. But it is inevitable, absolutely. But again, highlighting that note that I mentioned a little bit earlier, despite 95% of purchases being instigated online, 75% of those end up happening in the real world across all generations. So we do have to keep in mind that the real world still plays a critical role. So the improvement of the technology, so you can experience the metaverse or some sort of AR, VR type of, type of setting in the real world is going to be critical. So yeah, we'll see.
True, and I think the industrial part of it will be actually growing faster, because you can use augmented reality already now, like in warehouses or in construction sites. Or there's already companies using this to a great extent, so it's going to grow from there. And then we have the entertainment part itself. But as we were talking, you use actually the Metaverse for meetings, which is work already now full time. So
And another good
It's already here.
example, like where are we going in the future? So there's this Amsterdam dance event where we are always pushing the boundaries, like with building these metaverses, but also trying things out. So there was the Amsterdam dance event, and we had this little avatar dancing on a digital billboard.
Cool.
So all throughout Amsterdam, you saw this little guy in his hoodie dancing.
Was it you dancing like yesterday?
My salsa dancing. Yeah, so you see this guy, no, it wasn't me. You see this guy dancing, and then at the end of this little video on the billboard, there's a QR code, which QR codes were for a very long time. No one was using them, but now everyone is using them. And then you scan the QR code, and then you are the little guy dancing in the metaverse. And then they go into the metaverse, and then we have...
This is like Matrix already.
Yes, Matrix already, but we did it back in October. So, and then there's a screen with 16 DJs in Amsterdam playing in real life, like in a club. We were projecting it inside the metaverse, and the little avatars were dancing in front of the screen. So slowly, it's very, very tiny baby steps, but we are ready for this. So bring on the future.
So basically, the technology is there to provide you with everything. You can plug in everything, basically.
That's well, no. Actually, the technology is not there, but whatever's there, we're using. So we're trying to always ask for more of the platforms that we're using. No, it's definitely not there. It's not fast enough. It's always a frustration.
It's not plug and play, but it's doable.
No, they call me the on-cyber police. We use the on-cyber platform, and I'm always, don't put heavy stuff in, always policing.
But this is growing pains. That's within everything in the Web3 space.
Yeah.
I see. Yeah. Thank you so much. Do the audience have any questions? We have time for a QA still for a few minutes. Do we have a microphone?
You sure you want to give Jennifer?
There it comes.
All the high-def videos. First of all, such an inspiration. So I actually, Paladin and I first met in the Metaverse, literally. Yes. We met last night, and we're like, are you? And are you? And, more women need to be punks. That's my version 1 right here.
Let's go.
Badass. My question for all of you guys, and then we're tagging Wolfgang correctly. Oh, thank you. Oh, thank you. A question for all of you guys is, the fact that there are a lot of people who say, oh, no one is blockchain native. No one is born onto the blockchain. We were actually having a discussion yesterday, Pellumb. So do you think that these children you're seeing just entering the metaverse, knowing, are we metaverse natives? Is there someone truly digitally metaverse native? Because if we know instinctually what to do, what buttons to press, and we're going to space, and we're sending art to space, and we're going to the moon,
yes,
then we basically need to learn how to explore, right? So can you let me know, do you think there's some of us who are metaverse native at this point?
I don't think so. That's my personal opinion. I don't think anyone is really metaverse native. But people are communication native, so people want to talk to each other. So this is just a tool to basically use to communicate with each other, and all over the world. It's crazy, and hopefully on the moon very soon.
We'll get there. Any more questions? Thank you so much for your time.
Can I say one thing?
Yeah, of course.
Please come visit. So we have some business cards from the brand building. Come visit. You will get a free little metaverse from Banana Conference that Wolfgang made. It looks like one of the rooms here. So yeah, get our cards, get your own little first metaverse, and start trying it out.
Great. Thank you so much.
Thank you.